Imagine a civilization so ancient that it existed long before the first stones of the pyramids were ever laid, in advanced society hidden beneath layers of time, discovered only by accident and then erased almost as quickly as it was found. Archaeologists studying satellite anomalies believe they had uncovered something extraordinary. Geometric patterns carved into the earth, monolithic structures aligned with stars, and underground chambers untouched for thousands of years. But the moment their discovery reached the outside world, everything changed. Within hours, the site was sealed off, research documents vanished from servers, eyewitnesses reported unmarked trucks moving through the night, and officials dismissed the discovery as a misidentification despite overwhelming evidence suggesting otherwise. Why would a find this important be erased overnight? Who gains from hiding a civilization older than Egypt, older than Mesopotamia, older than any known cradle of humanity for decades? Whispers of such a civilization appeared in forbidden texts, erased records, and fragments of oral traditions that spoke of an ancient people who possessed knowledge far beyond their time. Some legends described them as astronomers who mapped the skies with impossible accuracy. Others claim they harnessed a form of energy modern science still doesn't fully understand. Their story was always dismissed as myth until this discovery proved the myths might have been true. And as soon as this truth surfaced, the world's most powerful nations suddenly took interest, deploying forces, restricting access, and silencing researchers who dared speak publicly. Why would governments care so much about a forgotten civilization? What did those archaeologists find beneath the soil that caused an immediate shutdown in this investigation? We step into the shadows surrounding a discovery that challenges everything we know about human history. This is the story of a civilization older than the pyramids found, exposed to daylight for the first time in thousands of years, and then erased before the world could see what it truly was. It is a story about buried truths, global secrecy, and a race between nations who believe that whatever lies beneath that ancient site may hold unimaginable power. Stay with me, because the answers we uncover today could reshape the past and reveal why some countries are willing to do anything, even rewrite history, to keep this mystery hidden. It begins not with a discovery in the ground, but with a discovery in the sky. For months, a small group of researchers had been reviewing high-resolution satellite images of a remote region and area believed to be nothing more than barren land, shaped only by wind and time. Yet something in the imagery didn't fit the natural landscape. Underneath shifting layers of soil were geometric outlines far too precise to be accidental perfect squares, repeating circles and long linear paths stretching across the ground like abandoned roads. At first, the team thought it was some sort of geological anomaly, but the deeper they zoomed, the clearer it became. Someone had built something massive here thousands of years ago, and no known civilization in that timeline should have had the ability to create structures this advanced. Driven by curiosity, a small expedition crew secretly made their way to the location. The moment they stepped onto the site, the air felt heavy, as if the land had been waiting for centuries to reveal a forgotten truth. Beneath shallow layers of dust, they found enormous blocks of stone fitted together with seamless accuracy, so precise that not even a blade could slide between them. Some stones carried markings, symbols carved with such smoothness that it was clear they were not chiseled by primitive tools. One researcher described the carvings as mathematically perfect, resembling diagrams used in modern astronomy. Another noticed that the layout of the entire site eerily matched the alignment of ancient constellations, suggesting the builders understood the stars at a level far beyond their era. As the team explored further, they discovered an entrance leading underground, an opening partially collapsed but still traceable. What remained of the tunnel walls showed signs of extreme heat, as if exposed to temperatures hotter than any ancient fire. The tunnel led to a circular chamber where fragments of polished crystal, metallic shards, and oddly shaped plates lay scattered across the floor. These artifacts were unlike anything in established archaeology. Alloys that resisted corrosion, patterns that looked like coded language, and crystal shards that refracted light in unusual ways. The team documented everything, taking photos, measurements, and video recordings. They believed they had found the remnants of a civilization far older and far more advanced than the pyramids. But the discovery grew even more shocking when dating samples from nearby soil layers indicated that these structures could be older than 7,000 years, possibly even older. To put this into perspective, this would mean that a highly advanced civilization existed long before the earliest known organized societies on Earth. The researchers sent their findings to several academic institutions, and within just a few hours the information spread quietly among a small network of archaeologists and historians. What they didn't expect was how quickly this chain of communication would trigger a response far beyond academic curiosity. Because within 48 hours of submitting their data, the team received a sudden order to stop all activity. Military vehicles appeared on the horizon. Temporary barriers were erected around the site. The research crew's equipment was seized, their communications were cut, and they were instructed to leave the area immediately. Some of them reported being questioned for hours. Others claimed their digital files were wiped and their accounts restricted. Something about this discovery, something buried deep beneath the earth, had triggered a reaction so swift and so forceful that it became clear this was no ordinary archaeological site. In that moment, the team realized they had stumbled onto something that wasn't supposed to be found. Something older than history, more advanced than early civilizations, and powerful enough to spark immediate intervention. And as they were escorted away, one of the archaeologists whispered, "Whatever is down there, they knew it would change everything." When researchers first analyzed the samples taken from the site, the results sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Sediment layers surrounding the stone structures dated back not just thousands, but several thousands of years before the earliest known civilizations. According to conventional history, humans at that time were hunter-gatherers, lacking cities, engineering knowledge, or sophisticated understanding of astronomy. Yet this site demonstrated the exact opposite. The alignment of the structures matched ancient celestial patterns with mathematical precision. A row of towering stones pointed directly toward the rising sun during the equinox, while another alignment traced the movement of the moon. These were not random placements, they were deliberate architectural choices that reflected an advanced understanding of cosmic cycles. As samples were retested across multiple labs, the timeline became clearer. This civilization predated the pyramids by thousands of years. Some researchers estimated the site could be between 7,000 and 10,000 years old, placing it even before the rise of Sumer, the earliest known civilization. If true, this would overturn everything historians believed about the development of advanced societies. One scientist, speaking anonymously, said, "This discovery is the equivalent of finding a smartphone inside a pharaoh's tomb. It shouldn't exist, but it does." Adding to the mystery were traces of a metallic compound found embedded in the rock walls of the underground chamber. This material exhibited properties unknown in any ancient metallurgy: high resistance to corrosion, unusual density, and a molecular structure that appeared engineered rather than naturally formed. Traditional archaeologists insisted it must be contamination from later periods, but repeated tests proved otherwise. This alloy was as ancient as the surrounding stone. If this civilization crafted such material, it means they possessed technological abilities far beyond what mainstream history acknowledges. Even more puzzling was the layout of the city. The surviving patterns hinted at a highly organized society, possibly with designated ceremonial zones, living quarters, and astronomical observatories. The design resembled a blueprint rather than a settlement developed over time. It was as if the entire city had been planned with meticulous detail long before construction began. Scientists were left with a haunting question. How could a civilization this advanced exist so far back in time? And if they were capable of such achievements, why did they vanish completely, leaving behind only faint traces that humanity was never meant to uncover? As the implications spread through private academic circles, one thing became clear. Someone, somewhere, did not want this knowledge reaching the public. The first signs of a cover-up emerged less than 24 hours after the research team submitted their preliminary findings. At dawn, unmarked vehicles rolled across the desert toward the excavation site. Witnesses reported seeing men in military uniforms erecting barricades and floodlights, creating a perimeter around the entire area. When the archaeologists approached, they were stopped and told the site was now under national protection. No explanation was provided. By afternoon, all digital communication from the team had been cut off. Their satellite phones lost signal. Their laptops displayed access denied warnings when they attempted to upload data. One researcher claimed that when he tried to contact his university, the email bounced back with a message stating his account had been temporarily suspended. Something unprecedented was happening, and it was happening fast. That evening, a convoy of trucks entered the site. Workers threw tarps over large metallic objects, carrying them out of the underground chamber and loading them into cargo containers. A local villager later said he saw one of the artifacts glowing faintly. As it was exposed to light, though, this was quickly dismissed by authorities. The convoy left before sunrise, escorted by armored vehicles heading toward a restricted government facility. The next morning, an official statement was released to the public. It claimed that the structures found in the desert were natural formations or remnants of a recent mining operation, contradicting every piece of evidence. Gathered by the research team, news coverage of the story vanished within hours. Articles were taken down, videos removed, and posts flagged as misinformation. Even the satellite images that first revealed the site were quietly updated, showing nothing but empty land. Members of the original team disappeared from public view. A few who were later contacted spoke only through encrypted channels. One message read, "We saw something extraordinary." They made sure the world wouldn't. Another claimed that some team members were pressured to sign non-disclosure agreements under threat of legal action. Whatever was down there, it had triggered fear at the highest level. Rumors spread that a sealed chamber had been found deeper inside, containing inscriptions or artifacts that could alter global understanding of history. But without access to the site, these claims remained unverified. One thing, however, was undeniable: a discovery older than the pyramids had been erased overnight. And whoever hid it was determined to keep it buried. Even with limited artifacts and restricted access, researchers pieced together a remarkable picture of the ancient civilization. The architectural remains suggest a highly organized society with knowledge far surpassing its era. The precision of the stonework, perfect angles, polished surfaces, and interlocking blocks match the sophistication of Inca or Egyptian engineering, yet predates both by thousands of years. The structures weren't random. They were arranged according to celestial patterns. The entire settlement seemed to function as a giant observatory, tracking the movement of the stars, moon, and sun over long periods. Inscriptions found on broken stone fragments indicate a symbolic language, possibly ideographic or astronomically coded. Several symbols matched constellations recorded in modern astronomy, suggesting their understanding of the cosmos might have been exceptionally advanced. These markings also implied they believed in cyclical time eras of human growth followed by catastrophic resets. If true, it aligns disturbingly well with myths found across different cultures, stories of floods, fire, or cosmic events that wiped out earlier societies. The underground chambers provided even more clues. Some appeared to be ceremonial halls or places of gathering. Others contained evidence of advanced craftsmanship: crystal pieces shaped with precision tools, fragments of metal alloys, and smooth stone tubes whose purpose remains unknown. A few researchers speculated these could have been early forms of energy conduits, acoustic systems, or storage for something more technologically advanced. Nothing is confirmed, but the level of craftsmanship suggests this civilization understood principles of physics and geometry far ahead of their time. The settlement itself appeared to be isolated, possibly a sanctuary or sacred center for a civilization spread across a wider region. The uniformity of the architecture indicated centralized planning and strong leadership. Some theories propose they may have been a priestly society, dedicated to observing the heavens and preserving knowledge. Others argue they were survivors of an even older civilization, rebuilding after a large-scale catastrophe. Most mysterious of all, however, is their disappearance. Evidence suggests the civilization did not fall due to war or environmental collapse. Instead, they may have left intentionally. Certain pathways from the main site lead to abrupt stops, as if part of the city was dismantled or taken with them. This intentional abandonment mirrors what happened in the present, an advanced group suddenly disappearing without explanation, leaving behind puzzles for future generations to uncover. Whatever their purpose, whatever their knowledge, one fact is clear: this was no primitive society. This was a civilization that understood the universe on a level we are only beginning to rediscover. The sudden involvement of multiple nations in the remote desert site raised obvious questions. Why were world powers interested in a forgotten civilization thousands of years old? What was so dangerous or valuable about the discovery that governments rushed to bury it from public knowledge? The answer lies in 5 compelling motives. First, the presence of unknown metallic alloys sparked intense attention. Reports indicated that fragments recovered from the site exhibited properties of engineered materials, lightweight yet incredibly strong, resistant to corrosion, and impossibly ancient. If such materials could be replicated, they would revolutionize aerospace, military armor, and advanced technology. Nations would do anything to secure them. Second, the geographical location of the site sits near regions rich in rare earth elements, vital for electronics, renewable energy, and modern weapons. A newly discovered ancient city in such a region becomes a matter of strategic control. Any nation claiming heritage or ownership would gain immense political advantage. Third, the historical implications are staggering. If this civilization predates the pyramids and shows signs of advanced knowledge, it challenges the standard narrative of human development taught worldwide. Some governments fear that such revelations could destabilize institutions, contradict religious teachings, or rewrite national identities built on traditional historical timelines. Fourth, there are rumors of ancient knowledge encoded in the site texts or inscriptions that describe celestial events or scientific principles modern science has yet to fully grasp. If even a fraction of these claims is true, controlling such knowledge could provide power over future technologies or energy systems. Finally, there is the military angle. Some structures found at the site emit unusual electromagnetic readings. The alignment of stones and underground formations suggests they may have been part of an early form of sound, energy, or frequency-based technology. If nations believe this ancient civilization harnessed natural forces in ways we do not understand, the site becomes a potential goldmine of tactical advantage. As international interest grew, tensions escalated. Intelligence agencies were spotted monitoring the area. Archaeologists reported being followed. Several nations quietly filed territorial claims. It became clear that whatever was buried in the desert was no longer just archaeological, it was geopolitical. A discovery capable of reshaping history also became a target capable of reshaping global power. Despite the cover-up, fragments of leaked information suggest much more remains buried beneath the sands. Ground-penetrating radar detected large cavities under the main site cavities untouched by the initial excavation team. These voids appeared symmetrical, almost like tunnels or chambers extending nearly half a mile underground. Some experts believe these passages could lead to a central structure, the heart of the civilization still hidden from the world. There are also rumors of a sealed vault found during the first hours of discovery. Witnesses claim the vault was constructed with a stone-like material fused together by extreme heat, making it impossible to open with standard tools. Some researchers speculated it might contain writings, sacred objects, or technologies deemed too dangerous to expose. The mysterious metallic sphere reported by the original team is believed to have been located inside this vault. Its removal, carried out under heavy military presence, remains unconfirmed but widely suspected. Then there are the symbols' intricate markings found near the entrance of one tunnel. These symbols resemble star charts, but not ones used by known ancient civilizations. A few researchers noted that these alignments match rare celestial events from 12,000 years ago, suggesting that the civilization documented astronomical cycles spanning millennia. If this is accurate, it implies a level of long-term observation that rivals modern astronomy. Perhaps the most unsettling leak came from a former government contractor who claimed that deeper scans revealed something not entirely natural, a structure with perfect geometric lines running hundreds of meters in length. He described it as a machine-like formation, though his statement was quickly dismissed by authorities. Still, the idea persists among researchers. What if this civilization left behind something more than stone? What if they left behind technology or mechanisms that were never meant to be found? Spotlight images of the region show anomalies that disappear in updated versions, sparking theories that entire structures are being covered or removed. And the sudden increase in restricted zones around the area raises further suspicion. Why seal off thousands of acres of empty desert unless something significant lies beneath? We may never know the full truth. But if even a fraction of the leaks are real, then what remains hidden could be far more important than what was already found. And perhaps that is why the world's most powerful countries are determined to keep the site buried. In the aftermath of the discovery, a pattern of censorship and removal became impossible to ignore. Leaked documents revealed that several universities had quietly withdrawn research papers related to the site. Professors who initially commented on the findings suddenly went silent, their statements replaced by generic disclaimers. Even amateur researchers noticed that satellite images of the area were blurred or updated with digitally altered terrain. Something was being erased, not just from the desert, but from public consciousness. One of the most disturbing pieces of evidence came from a whistleblower who claimed to have witnessed the removal of objects from the underground chamber. He described strange tools made of metal that emitted faint vibrations when touched. He mentioned plates etched with symbols that seemed to change color under different wavelengths of light. He also reported seeing a series of crystal rods arranged in a circular frame, almost like a device built for communication or energy manipulation. These artifacts were loaded into sealed containers and taken away under heavy security. There are also rumors of audio recordings taken inside the chamber, low-frequency humming sounds that persisted even when all equipment was turned off. Some speculate the sound was caused by natural resonance, while others believe the structure itself was intentionally designed to channel or store energy. If true, this would mean the civilization possessed knowledge of acoustic engineering far beyond its time. Then there is the matter of the coded inscriptions. Several researchers who saw photos of the symbols claimed they resembled an early form of mathematical notation. Some even suggested a connection to binary patterns. But those photos disappeared shortly after being uploaded online. When asked about the removal, officials insisted they were doctored images, despite multiple confirmations from eyewitnesses that the symbols were real. Perhaps the biggest clue that something monumental is being hidden lies in the sudden prohibition placed on drone flights over the region. Independent investigators attempting aerial surveys reported having their drones jammed or force-landed. Some received warnings from unidentified authorities that their activities were interfering with national security. When you combine censored data, vanished artifacts, silenced academics, and restricted airspace, a disturbing conclusion becomes unavoidable. The truth isn't lost. It's being kept from us. And whatever this ancient civilization left behind is something powerful enough or dangerous enough that those in control believe the world is not ready to know. Despite the fragments of information, despite the brave efforts of researchers, and despite the relentless curiosity of independent investigators, the greatest truths about this ancient civilization remain locked away. We know they existed long before the pyramids. We know they built structures with impossible precision. We know they understood astronomy, mathematics, and possibly even energy systems far more advanced than their era should allow. But the questions that matter most remain shrouded in silence. Why did they disappear? Was it a natural disaster, a cosmic event, or a threat they foresaw long before it arrived? Some inscriptions suggest they believed in cycles, eras of rising and falling civilizations, each wiped clean by forces beyond human control. If that is true, their disappearance may not have been random. It may have been part of a pattern humanity has experienced many times before. Why was their discovery erased? The speed and force with which governments shut down the excavation point to something far greater than archaeological interest. Secrets this old could challenge the foundations of world powers, altering history, affecting religion, disrupting scientific narratives, or revealing truths that could destabilize modern society. And maybe, buried beneath those chambers, lies knowledge capable of reshaping the future technology, warnings, or blueprints from a civilization that survived a catastrophe we no longer remember. Why are nations targeting this forgotten site? The answer is simple: control. Control of knowledge, control of resources, control of potential technologies that could redefine global power. If this ancient civilization mastered something humanity has since lost, then obtaining that knowledge could give one nation an unimaginable advantage. But perhaps the most important question is the one we rarely ask. What if they wanted their knowledge to be found only at the right time? What if they buried their secrets? Not out of fear of us, but for us hoping that future generations would reach a point where they could understand what was left behind. We stand at the edge of a mystery deeper than time. Beneath the sand lies a message, a warning, or a gift, one that powerful forces are determined to keep hidden. But history has a way of resurfacing. Truth has a way of finding the light. And perhaps one day, when humanity is ready, this ancient civilization will finally reveal what it tried so hard to preserve. As we stand at the end of this journey, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. This civilization, older than the pyramids, older than every recorded empire, did not simply vanish. It was found, hidden, and silenced. And the forces that erased it thousands of years ago seem to be the same forces suppressing it now. What we uncovered in fragments, the precision stonework, the advanced knowledge, the impossible technology, suggests a society that reached heights we are only beginning to rediscover. A people who understood the stars, the earth, and the cycles of time in ways modern science still struggles to explain. At the deeper we dig, the more resistance we face. Entire excavation sites sealed overnight. Artifacts removed in darkness, satellites blurred, researchers silenced. Governments refusing to answer the simplest questions. Why? What are they afraid the world will learn? Maybe this civilization knew something powerful enough to threaten those who shape our history today. Or perhaps their disappearance carries a warning about our own future, a reminder that even the greatest societies can fall into silence when the truth becomes too dangerous to control. But the ruins are still there. In the shifting sands, in the buried chambers, in the echoes of symbols left behind. They whisper of a world long forgotten, waiting for the moment humanity is ready to hear what they tried to preserve. Because history does not stay buried forever, it rises, it resurfaces, and eventually it demands to be seen. So the question is no longer what happened to them. The question is, why is the truth being kept from us? And what will happen when the world finally uncovers what lies beneath that ancient ground? Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you believe this mystery deserves answers, then stay curious, stay aware, and never stop questioning the stories we've been taught. Because sometimes the past isn't just history, it's a message, and it's waiting for us to understand it.